All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from wherever you're joining us from around the world. You're welcome to another edition of the Software Test Drive hosted by Scandium. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, everyone. All right. I can see more people are joining. As you are joining into this webinar right now, please welcome in the comment section. Just type welcome. Welcome, everyone. I can see one of our speakers is already on the call. So, welcome, Anshuman. Welcome, everyone. So, where you're joining us from, kindly say it in the chat box. I'm going to be doing so now. I'm connecting with everyone from Lagos, Nigeria. So, wherever you're joining us from, kindly post it in the comment section. I'm doing mine now. I'm joining from Lagos, Nigeria. Let us know in the comment section. Welcome. All right. For those that are just joining us, you are new to this webinar. You are a returning member. You're welcome, everyone. And you're wondering what the software test drive is. The software test drive is a quarterly test automation webinar where we talk about frameworks, tips, how-tos, carriers, AMAs. We have panel special career story, and we also have the trivia and the game section, which usually comes after all of the sessions we have. So welcome again, everyone. Like I said, if you are joining us from wherever, if you are joining us from Kenya, you're joining us from Nairobi, you are joining us from Egypt, joining us from South Africa, state it in the comment section and welcome someone. Welcome someone. All right. My name is Henry, and I'm the community program manager for Scandium, and I'm also going to be your host for today. So, for today, before we go into the topic of today's conversation, I have one question, a quick question to ask everyone. If AI replaces part of your job, what part would you gladly give up? We have to understand that we are in the age and time where AI is carrying out most of the workflows that we find very tedious at work. So if you have to sit down and think, okay, what part of my job, what part of my role would I want AI to replace, and I will gladly give it up? So if you have your answer, let us know in the comment section. For me as a community manager, I think I would rather just give AI the ability to reach out to leads for me, because I have to like connect to a lot of communities. So having to reach out to individual community might be a little bit tedious doing that manually. So if I can get AI to carry out that task, picking out the community I want to reach out to, looking for the leads from that community and reaching out to them on my behalf, I would gladly give that to AI. So the question is for you, our audience: what if AI is to replace a part of your job? What part would you gladly give up? Anshuman, I would like to hear your response as well on this. What parts of your job would you gladly give out to AI if you were to give it out? What part of your job would you gladly give it in the comment section as
Uh,
well? Okay,
yeah. You want me to kind of type it over here, or you just kind of share my thoughts
you,
on
you can
the
type
topic?
it. You can type it. You can type it.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, type it in comment section. All right, we're also waiting for a response from everyone. If you are to give AI one of your role or your task, what? All right. So while we are typing our answer in the chat box, I would want us to please follow us on all our social media platforms if you haven't done that yet. If you are new to us, you are just joining this webinar for the first time, you are just hearing about Scandium for the first time, and you haven't followed us yet on any of our social media platforms, kindly do that. It is the same social media handle across all our platforms. That is on LinkedIn, on X, which is formerly Twitter, and on Instagram. That is at GetScandium. And we also have a community you can be part of. We have a Slack community. We also have a WhatsApp community. So in the comment section right now, I believe Ibrahim would be dropping the link to join our Slack community and also to join our WhatsApp community. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now to automatically join the community or copy the link that is attached to this image. So I'm going to wait for a couple of seconds for you to do that. If you haven't joined our community yet, or you are not following us yet on all our social media platforms. And following us on our social media platform is one of the ways you can stay updated on everything regarding Scandium. That is our blogs, our events, conversations we have within the community, products that we are launching. That is how you are going to stay updated. So make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms. All right, I can see some comments already from Mitchell. He said he will gladly give out UAE and testing. I believe he's trying to say testing to AI. Wonderful, wonderful. I love the response I'm getting. Abiola said he'll gladly give out reading. Okay, I understand that. He'll gladly give out reading. All right, thank you very much for those of you that gave a response. All right, to the conversation we are having today, which is the future of quality in AI generated software. We have to understand that we live in an age and time whereby it feels very easy to now build software with the advent of LLMs, of agents that we have now, agents like, let's say, Lovable, ChatGPT, um, Codex, we have Claude. This evolution of software development, or how you can build applications or how you can build software, has improved. It has become faster than we have always known. So this brings the question of, if we are easily dishing out softwares into the world at scale at this stage, how do we maintain quality? What is the future of quality in all this AI generated software, which is the conversation we are going to be having today? And today we have two amazing speakers. We have these as senior um, professionals in the quality assurance or in the software testing space. And we have them already on the call. We have Anshuman and Pratik. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for joining us today. We can see them on the call. And we'll be starting off with the conversation today, starting with Pratik. So I believe, Pratik, you're ready. Your presentation is set. Just
All
a
good.
brief introduction. Thank you very much, Pratik. Pratik is the CEO of Test Dino, a playwright native test intelligence and analytics platform built for AI native engineering teams. Test Dino sits at the intelligence layer above test execution, helping teams turn noisy test runs into clear signals about flakiness, failures, and merge confidence. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, off the software test drive, with emojis popping in the comment section and you saying welcome Pratik, let's officially welcome Pratik to the software test drive as it discussed today with us the future of quality in AI generated software. Thank you very much for joining us today, Pratik.
Cool. Thank you very much, Henry,
And just
for
as Pratik takes over, one thing that I want us to all, think through as we're going through this is the speed at which software, whether you're talking about mobile or anything, is coming is very high. We have teams shipping hourly now, not just even daily or monthly. So at that great speed, what does it mean for QA professionals? And really looking forward to what we hear today. So Pratik, please take it away.
cool. Thank you very much, Jafar and Henry, for scheduling this. And yeah, let me, I think, share my screen, or you guys will be switching over to slides, or maybe yeah, let me share my screen.
Yeah, please go ahead and share.
Yeah. I might need to restart the Chrome. Let me come back right again.
Okay, so it seems Pratik is trying to join us back. Okay, I see somebody talk about documentation, probably as what you want AI to take away. I'll be bringing Pratik back right now so he can start the conversation. Welcome back, Pratik. Welcome back.
Cool. Thank you.
So you
Let me
ready to
share
share
my
your screen
screen.
now?
Can you see my screen, guys? Can you see the screen, Henry? Jafar?
Yes, yes, we can see your screen. It's up. Please go ahead.
Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible. Please go
Oh,
ahead.
perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So thank you, everyone, for joining this podcast. And yeah, I mean, we'll be talking about the future of quality in AI generated software. So, as Henry mentioned, a little bit about myself. Like, I spent almost 12 to 13 years in QA automation. I started my journey as a manual tester, and then I started uh, deeping dive into Selenium and the world of automation. Selenium was, I think, at the peak at that time. I'm talking about 2014, 15, and people were using Selenium like crazy. Specifically, the big companies, they wanted to test their websites through automation because they want to speed up their entire quality engineering process. So I started with Selenium, and then I also learned about APM, which is still very popular framework to test the mobile applications on real Android and iOS devices. And I was also fortunate enough to contribute some part of these famous open source repositories. And in 2018-19, I started small consulting company, and then I started providing services to a lot of different firms. And since last few years, I have been building taste. I know I'll talk about that in a bit. So we saw a problem that coding agents can generate so much amount of code, and they can also generate large E2E test cases. And all thanks to Claude Codex or even Cursor, these days you can generate even hundreds of automated test cases within a day. But then the challenge comes when you execute those test cases on CI, and when they fail, you would spend so much amount of time to figuring out what's happening, why it's breaking, whether it's actual issue or whether it's UI change or whether your test is flaky. So now, all thanks to AI, teams are generating so many pull requests, and you can multiply those pull request CI execution with the failures, and that count becomes so enormous that if you are not using any sort of tool or process, you will spend so much time figuring out your test failure. So that's where we build Taste Dino, which will automatically figure out the failures for you. It gives you top flaky test cases along with the result. And we have MCP server using which teams can query their taste data as well as execution data, and taste management also built in. So it's really helping the team. And I have been part of a lot of companies before, as well as working with a lot of cool people around the globe to learn so many things. So yeah, I think these days I would say like tastes are very easy to write, but it's very hard to trust and see what it gives us. So moving to the next slide, as I mentioned, like AI can generate a lot of amount of production code, and engineers are shipping almost 10x, all thanks to the AI agents. But time to generate test cases is also like very reduced. Like few years back when ChatGPT came, it was still very difficult, but after 2025 it became very obvious that these agents are very capable to create front end automation test cases as well. But now again the challenge is like who will be verifying the code and the test cases that actually works, that actually captures the actual issues, uh, that not just bluffing and saying white light that it is generating proper test cases and checking proper stuff. So yeah, I think verification is very important step, and we are still having or we still require human in the loop in this process, so that we can be a judge and figure out what's true, what's false, and what we need to do. Yeah, so if I talk about the bottleneck before AI, as I mentioned, like writing test cases was very slow and expensive. For example, if you have worked with Selenium or any other automation tools, you will be finding the locators manually on the web applications. Then you write a lot of different methods, you create different type of test cases. You Before that you first figure out the different use cases, the different test cases, and then eventually you automate them. So it's very hard and time consuming process, and by the time you write several end to end UI test cases, mostly your user interface sometime gets changed, and then you will be in the optimization or revamping mode where you are adjusting your test cases to match with the existing uh, user interface of the application. So that was very time consuming period, and at some point you will be always maintaining your existing test framework and test cases. So coverage was very scarce resource. I mean, it was totally process problem, because in agile everything was moving fast. So the expectation was to create test cases for the current application, and QA always measured in the test count, because the ideal process is like you first figure out the total number of manual test cases, and then eventually you automate those manual test cases one by one. So let's say if you have 100 manual test cases, out of which you automate 60 test cases within 3 months, it means you have achieved 60% or 60 percentage of the test automation coverage. So that was very important KPI, and I think in teams that is still very important KPI till the date. And review capacity of the teams, roughly they were matching the code volume, just to understand how much amount of code you are tasting. But after AI, as I mentioned, like different AI agents like Copilot, Cursor, or Claude can generate test cases in seconds. It will automatically spin up the browsers, and it will automatically iterate through your web applications and create the test code. And I think I'll talk more about Playwright, because I think that is being widely used, and it's very popular. Uh, uh, I think in current industry ongoing trends. Playwright came up with MCP server last year, I think in quarter 4, and the moment they released it, it became viral, because it was giving us a power using which you can open the browsers, crawl through any websites, and literally create your end-to-end test cases, which was not possible, or which was not very easily possible earlier, even the age of AI, when Playwright MCP was not there. And then they came up with their own agents, and this year earlier February they came up with the Playwright CLI, which is more token efficient way to generate E2E test cases. So test generation is become commodity. It means like it is very easy to generate. Before AI it was very challenging, it was slow, it was expensive, and you need to always maintain them. You were stuck at some point of time, but it is now commoditized, it is very easy to generate. and code volume is exploded. Like literally you can generate even thousands of automated test cases. So now trust is very important factor here, because if Claude generates, let's say, thousands of E2E test cases, how would you know it is testing properly or not? You wouldn't have that much amount of time even to check your uh, taste code and figure out whether it's tasting everything or not. Or you can just talk with agents and figure out whether it is generating proper code and having proper assertions, everything. So it's very difficult to figure out manually. So you need to uh, leverage some approaches to figure out that trust is still there. And that's where I was mentioning verification is very important. uh, we'll talk about the different failure modes that AI has introduced. uh, so I would talk about flakiness first, which I mentioned in red because it's very time consuming still date. Imagine you have thousands of test cases running on each pull request, and you are getting, let's say, maybe 50 failures on an average per pull request. Now your developers are generating, let's say, 10 pull requests per day, and you multiply 50 by 10, it becomes like 500 failures you need to debug manually. Or maybe like you use some uh, Claude agents to understand the failures. But the problem is like they don't have historical data, and the count they give sometimes is very hallucinating. So you spend a lot of time still to figuring out flakiness at scale, because more AI generated taste generates more noise, more retries, and more error logs that you need to analyze, that you haven't analyzed before. Then I talked about the quality of test cases which AI generates. I prefer them as a shallow test cases, like test cases that are passing but verifying nothing. Like so, I always tell that automation testing, uh, it's built with two words: automation plus testing. Automation means like you write the code which controls the browser, which clicks on the buttons, which fills the text fields, which get the text from the labels, and you can do a lot of actions on top of the web components. And testing means assertions, like whatever you are doing, you are just verifying that you are expecting this variable value with this. So if you don't put proper assertions, it will not uh, give you guarantee that it's checking your application properly. Imagine you have a simple login test case, which is just entering username, password, and yeah, I mean, just clicking on the login button. So it does nothing unless you put the assertion statement after login button. And assertion would be like, after login I should able to see my username in the dashboard. So if you don't put that, your test will still pass, but if there is any error, you will not able to capture that. Then the third point is hallucinated selectors, like brittle locators invented by the model that will break on the first UI change. So if you don't use proper practices on the front end code, you will always generate dynamic IDs, and your test case is relying on those IDs. You also need to update them. If you don't update them, uh, or you don't prompt it properly when you are when you are revamping your test cases to adjust according to the new UI, it will sometime hallucinate and do some guesswork, and it will tell you that it has fixed the test case according to the current user interface. But when you run them, you'll figure out that it did generate hallucinated selectors. And the fourth point is drift from user behavior. Suits that will imagine suits that will do what model has imagined, but not actually what user does on the website. So it's also very important that when you are tasting, you are providing real user data in form of, let's say, user interaction uh, data, or maybe like a very detailed PRD where it tells you how customers will be using your application. Coming to the next slide, the verification tax. So when generation is free, verification becomes very important and very valuable layer. So as I was explaining, every AI PR carries hidden costs, like someone needs to check what it is doing, what it is tasting, the test cases that it has executed on that pull request. Those are sufficient, and those are enough that is tasting your application properly. You can also like skip. I see this practice a lot in some organization, when I talk to other fellow QA engineers, and they are mostly skipping the test cases when they have flaky or failures. So that will, what it says, like you have built automation but now it's not working because of XYZ reasons, and now you are skipping it. So teams that are doing that, as well as some teams are totally trusting their test cases, AI generated test cases that will always pass. Teams also trusting those green checks blindly, those could also face issues in the production environment. So the third process would be like you still need to have human in the loop, where you go there, you check manually what's happening, what it is executing. If it is executing test cases, then whether those test cases are sufficient or not. The steps of that automated test cases should be testing everything properly. Assertions are properly put or not. So yeah, I mean, answer for this is like automated verification layer between AI merge and the deploy. So human in the loop is still required uh, when your AI generates code and before you ship your application to the production. Now, yeah, this is bit debatable topic, but I already mentioned like why I'll talk about Playwright, because I have been seeing that teams using Playwright a lot these days, and there are a few reasons. Like Playwright is kind of project from Microsoft, so Microsoft employees managing this project, they have dedicated resources to look after the project, and they are very bullish in terms of AI. From last year, they have started providing so much into the releases, like Playwright MCP came, Playwright Agent came, Playwright CLI came, and in the recent release, like they just released, I think few days back, in 1.62 they made Playwright MCP and Playwright CLI as part of the package itself. Otherwise, you need to configure that explicitly, which was a little bit tricky sometimes. So industry is moving very fast, and yeah, we can also focus on auto waiting and web first assertions. Like this is something new, which maybe like Selenium or Cypress didn't came up as a first class support. So auto waiting means like it will automatically wait for the element to be visible, and it was also like giving first class support for cross browser API. So I remember there were a few challenges with Cypress when it was very popular. I think Cypress became very popular in 2018-19, and the idea was like your front end testing code is residing within your application code itself. So a lot of front end engineers started developing their front end test cases using that, but certain limitations were you were not able to handle multiple tabs with Cypress. WebKit or Safari browser support was very limited, or I think initially it was not present at all. Then if you are changing the URLs, it was also restricted. So those sort of limitations Playwright solved from day one. Then it also came up with inbuilt trace viewer, which is very helpful when something goes wrong in your application, in your test case, and if you want to debug deep dive. So it is capturing everything, like it is capturing literally your DOM snapshots, even your APIs, your console logs, even video, everything was replayable, and you can figure out and see what's happening. And as I mentioned, like they started building this for AI, so they focused on building it for machines as well as for humans. Like when I speak build for machine, it means like it is providing a data in a format that AI agents can understand very easily. So as I mentioned, like MCP support they officially released. They also provide code gen, I think, from very initial days. They provide very structured traces so that AI agents can debug from that very easily. And that's why I think it's very popular into QA community, and people can leverage it very easily. Yeah, I think it is very similar slide which I earlier shared. uh, like if you want to make your automated test cases trustworthy, these are the points that you can focus on. Like you should prefer the user facing locators like get by role, get by label, or get by text. So they are usually reliable, and they are like inbuilt methods of playwright, uh, and that is more reliable over the CSS or XPath, which is very common in Selenium, where you get the CSS or XPath of the given element, and then you interact on top of that. Trace report, as we talked in the previous slide, it's very important. It contains all the truth of your underlying or application under taste, uh, and it is giving you very structured data. If you are analyzing through AI agent, it's also very easy to grab and to work with. And flaky patterns, I think this is very important topic. As I mentioned, like with more AI agents generating more AI test cases, flakiness is very common issue. And if you want to prevent that, like you should be focusing on very first day to figuring out which test cases are becoming flaky. You find the patterns and you fix that pattern from the day one, so that you focus on the quality from day one. uh, the fourth point is like you should verify your fixes with rerun gates. So basically, playwright comes with automatic retry mechanism. If you set retry count 2, it means like if your test is failing on the first attempt, it will automatically retry that test and execute in the second attempt. So you also need to understand why these retries are triggered, why in the second retry your test cases are passing, why it's failing on the first attempt. There could be multiple reason. Mostly the most common reason would be when you run them on CI. Sometime because of the scarce resources on the CI, your environment becomes slow, and sometimes the elements are taking more time to load. So always you need to ensure that you are putting proper wait mechanism and you have enough resources so that your application renders very properly, and you don't go into this retry mode. Yeah, so quality engineering in the age of AI is totally redefined. So skill that matters now. It's not only taste writing, or it's not about only manual QA or automated QA. It's more about orchestrating multiple things. So you need to understand the taste architecture, like what type of application you are tasting, what type of programming language your developers are using for that application, what is your application infrastructure, what is that architecture, and how would you create test architecture to support that best. Then you need to also understand CI/CD fluency, because teams now expecting developers or even QA to move fast within the organization. And in order to move fast, there will be always automatic deployment process. So how would you fit your automation testing as part of it? That you always need to ensure that. So you need to understand at which step you will be executing your test cases, whether it's E2E test cases, UI test cases, unit test cases, or even integration or API test cases. You need to handle your data, mock data, in case some external services, like for example payment services are getting used. Maybe you need to mock them, so you need to also prepare the mock data. Prompt and agent literacy, that is very important point, like how you are using those within the organization. The skill file, if you have any particular skill created for your taste generation or any other part, you can also leverage that, and based on that you need to take the risk judgment and optimize the process. Talking about the skill, we open sourced playwright skill that will help teams to create test cases with very proper assertions and proper structuring. So one of the interesting pain point is like when you have multiple developers or QA engineers generating automated test cases, they use their own version of prompts, because everyone speaks differently, everyone types differently, and according to that, your agent will not able to write proper code structure, and you see very bad code practices ultimately happening. So skills are kind of guardrails which will tells your entire framework or your AI agent that hey, you need to code like this way, you need to put assertions at this area. So it brings discipline into your organization, so it's very important. Yeah. So what to do on next Monday, for example, like you like treat your AI generated test case as draft, not deliverables. This is very important point, like you don't uh, push to the master unless you review them properly. So understand what type of test your AI agent is generating, whether it has put proper assertions or not, and then after only you should approve them. You should be also measuring the taste health over in the taste count, because again, like as you can generate even hundreds or thousands of E2E taste cases, it doesn't mean that you are tasting everything. So measure the taste health, measure that you are touching all the part of the code and you are doing proper tasting with all the features, or at least start from the very priority features. And you need to put a stability gate before you generate the fix through AI. Like even though you are fixing your flaky test cases or failing test cases through AI, you always review that and put some sort of guardrails in a way that it won't automatically fix, and you won't need to then re-review everything again. And as I mentioned, like go small, start small, automate few test cases, implement these practices, and then scale. Yeah, so that's it. So the ending statement would be like, quality is no longer a phrase or no longer optional thing. It's very important trust layer these days, and if you want to shift faster, you need to follow these steps. So yeah, that's it from my side. You can also find this playwright skill I was just talking about, link here. Give it a try, and please give it a star if you like it. And uh, giving mic back to Henry. Thank you very much, Henry.
Pratik, for that. That was an amazing session. Thank you very much. That was very, very detailed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you that now we understand, how to practice when we are testing quality AI generated software, how to maintain the quality, the steps. I really love the fact that you mentioned what you are also expecting of us to do this coming week. Let's say you are starting over on Monday. So thank you very much for that. All right. So moving on straight into our next speaker, we have Anshuman is already on the call. So please let's bring up Anshuman for him to go straight into his session. So after his session, he's going to go straight into the career story. So let me just do a brief introduction of Anshuman. Anshuman has spent over 2 decades in quality engineering leadership, building through the industry's shift from manual testing to automation, CI/CD pipelines, and early machine learning. Over his career, he has evolved and matured QE practices for major global enterprises, including Uber, Aristocrat Technologies, and Landis. He sees generative and agentic AI as a structural shift for QE, not a mirror optimization, and his current work sits squarely at that inflection point. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, of the software test drive, let's officially make welcome as he takes us on his own session, and Schumann for taking us on the future of quality in AI generated software. Thank you very much, Anshuman, for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Henry. Can you guys hear me fine? Am I audible?
Yes, we can. Yes, we
and
can.
my slides are visible? Are my slides visible, Henry? Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, I can see.
Yes, it's
Okay,
coming
good.
up. Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. So welcome everybody, and thank you, Henry and Jafar. And thanks to the software test drive team for having me. And yeah, welcome everyone. Depending on which time zone you are at, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. So hey, I have spent like 2 decades in quality engineering, right? And I have not seen the ground move like this before. Post 2022. And in the rest of the slides, you will see hard data that supports this perspective, and how is the quality playground shaping in this entire thing. Automation is just one part of it, but there are so many moving parts, right? And I hope that after this talk, there will be some golden takeaways, right, for all of you guys. So all right, so this confession that you see right on the slide right now, right? It's not a engineer confessing to a manager, right? I mean, this is a Replit coding agent. In July 2025, it had deleted a live production database during an explicit code freeze, even though the instructions are very clear that it's not supposed to do that. And then it fabricated data to cover the gap, and told the user that the rollback was impossible. But when user actually did it manually using the snapshot tool that Replit provided, it was all possible, right? So, the interesting part is that this agent, right, the behavior was something that was explicitly mentioned earlier in the prompt not to do that, but it still went ahead and do it, right? So this is a kind of this particular incident is now a foundational case study, right, for the AI guardrails and the runtime governance, right, that is required in this age. So we are going to cover 3 parts today, right, where we actually are, and we'll look at the hard data for that, and then quality itself, how it is shaping up, what works, what are the learnings we take from our old self, and what is changing shape, and then what to do about it, right? And we'll cover things about how traditional QA we need to look at this from a different perspective. So the way I see it, right? I mean, I look at this whole software journey, right, into 3 eras, right? There is a pre-LLM era, and then everything after that, right? So for 40 years, right, in the pre-LLM era, software was deterministic and human written for humans, right? And our quality norms grew up alongside it. We built, we verified, and we shipped. And then 2022 happened, and Gen AI exploded on the screen, on the scene, and it got everybody excited, right? Everybody in the whoever was developing software, right? Because there was so much potential, right? And we focused on building. And that point of time, it's just like a new shiny toy. Everybody wants to do something with it, and the safeguards took the backseat. By 2024, this LLM, which was just more as a Q&A for you, right? It developed agency, right? Agency is when you can act, right? So we had these agents coming out of the scene, right? And they have the capability to act, right, on our files, our databases, our production environment, and that ability comes with a significant risk. And on top of that pace at which the evolution journey from LLMs to agents occurred, it was way faster than our ability to control it, contain it, right? And in this new reality, I believe that quality has a very, very strong and pivotal role to play. 42, I mean, this is a data generated by Sonar 2022-2026 survey, right? and it says that 42% of the global code base is now AI generated, and this was only 6% in 2023, right? So you can see the pace at which this code volume is expanding, right? And every single day, right? I mean, this is going exponential, right? And that when they talk to the developers, right? I mean, who were kind of developing this code or reviewing this code, right? 96% of those same developers said they do not fully trust it. This should be a very, very strong indicator of the kind of quality that they, if not, it's an anecdotal evidence of the quality problem, right, that we are looking at right now. So the volume is not the problem, right? It is what this 42% carries into production, right? And just to give an idea of the risk that goes with this kind of code, right? Another company, Kudo, right? They scanned 1 million pull requests and found that 17% carried a high severity issues, the kind which passes manual review under time pressure. Another company, Veracode, and in this Veracode test every major LLM, right, since 2023. And what they found was that with time, the models got better in their code structure as related with the syntax pass rates, right? And then they climbed from 50% to 95%. So that pretty much means that it will compile, right? The code will compile, right? But however, during this time, the security pass rate did not move at all. It continued to stay between 45% to 55%, regardless of which model you're using. So what model did were they got better at making the code look right, but they were not better at being safe. Another company, right? Now this Apiro company, they are the security firm, right? So take the data with a grain of salt, but I just put it over there just to make a point, right? What it shows is that with time, the syntactical errors and the logical bugs, right? They have reduced significantly. However, the bugs of design flaw nature, right, or authorization that needs authorization levels, right? They have raised significantly, right? And you can look at the figure. I mean, they are just like mind-boggling, right? 322% in the privilege escalation area and 153% in the design flaws, right? And for this authorization thing, right, one of the things that I want to point out is that the reason behind it, that a missing authorization check, right, which we have over here, is not a wrong code. It's just a code that was never written. So this is the kind of a ecosystem in which the code generation is taking place. And apart from the code generation, one of the things that AI did, and this is very interesting, right? It has actually influenced human psyche in a big way, right? I mean, you hear about this hype and all of that, right? But this is the data that actually shows or indicate what kind of how the human psyche has got influenced, right? So this non-profit organization, Meter, right? They ran a randomized trial with experienced developers on their own repositories, right? So when developers went through this experiment, they predicted that they will be at least 24% faster in whatever they do, right? After the experiment, when they came out, they were said, maybe it was not 24%, it was only 20%. But when the actual thing was measured, they were 19% slower. I mean, do you see this? Like the perception? I mean, this is a controlled experiment, right? So this 39 points between what they felt and what happened, that's mind-boggling, right? And these developers, they're not novices, right? They have been writing code, right? So I wanted to put this number out there, right? Just so that everybody understands this AI does not just have a technical aspect to it, but there is a whole human psyche influence aspect as well, right? So, and another point that I wanted to make with this thing is that if our instinct about our own throughput can be that wrong, right? I mean, with all these developers, right, stating what they thought and what actually came out, our instinct about whether the code is safe, right, it deserves the same suspicion, same mistrust, isn't it? So, and again, I'm not going to go through this ledger, but these are some of the important incidents that happened, right? So now if you go on, I don't know how many of you guys have actually gone in, but, and looked at the AI disasters that have happened, right? But there are multiple such channels by which you can gather that information, right? There is an AI incident database, an AI vulnerability database, and OECD's monitors, and and their entries are growing by leaps and bounds every week, right? So the important part is that when you go and you look at the kind of disasters that are happening over there, it just throws you totally off, off rail, right? I mean, the question that quality is important, it takes a driver's seat at that point of time, because the outcomes have real fiscal, legal, market repercussions for that enterprise. So in this situation, right, this which I just told you about, in this huge churning that is happening with a lot of quality issues that we already know are there out in the AI generated code, right? So the machine got very good at generating this code, right? And I believe our job as a quality engineering professional is to still make sure that it works. That volume of the code that is getting generated actually works, right? And I think Prateek earlier pointed to that, right? So I'm again re-emphasizing that fact, right? So again, quick pulse check, right? Before we talk about that, type in the chat, right? I mean, if your team which you are working with runs eval, or have you ever heard of eval as a concept, right? Related with CI today, just type yes or no, right? I mean, keep those coming, and I'll come back to them later. And Henry, just keep me honest as far as the time is concerned. All right. Now, we will start with we'll try to keep it simple, right? I mean, what quality means, right? So we'll strip all the jargons, and pretty much when in this in this quality era, right? I mean, it pretty much ends up with 4 simple questions, right? Whether the thing works, which is correctness, does it hold up in production, which is reliability, and then once it is created, can we change it next year, for a new feature, right? So that maintainability aspect of the code base, right? And these 3 that we cover, right? Correctness, reliability, maintainability, right? They're as old as our field. And if you recall the Weinberg's line where he tried to define quality in the simplest possible fashion, right? That it is value to somebody. There is a 4th aspect, or the 4th question, or the 4th parameter that has got added to this equation of quality, and that is a question of what human wants, whether the outcome that you are seeing, whether the the output that this stochastic system, probabilistic system is generating, right? Whether it is aligned with human values, and that's a totally new field, right? I mean, in the past, it used to come mostly free because a human wrote code for a human's request, and now when we put a model in the loop, it has to be asked explicitly and repeatedly, right? And correctness and reliability, traditionally we have always validated by running the system via testing as a practice. Maintainability, we have been focused on these strong software designs, where you code so that they pertain to good design philosophies, right? And the 4th newly added one, right, is using evals, in context of the intent, that we are using for the AI. So when we talk about testing, right, I mean, I see this testing, in two very clear componentized fashion, right? There is a AI assisted testing where you have you use AI to test faster, right? It exists to solve the speed problem that we are seeing right now with the code churning and the the pace at which it is happening, and the AI writes a feature in 8 minutes, right? So the tests have to keep up. And you have tools like that, right? They have Prompt2, you have Playwrights MCP that Prateek talked about, you have Claude Code, right, which is driving the suite. But the this rightmost box that we are talking about, right, testing AI, that is that's a new paradigm, right? It has a new foundation, and and this requires a total mindset shift from how we have traditionally tested the deterministic systems, right? for decades. All our philosophy around testing, is based on that foundation, right? And that foundation is no longer when it comes to this AI-based testing, right? So how do we validate something which will not give us the same answer twice, right? I mean, if you have worked with ChatGPT and everything, right, you give the prompt over there, the same prompt, and you will get two different kind of outcomes, right? So the first, where we have this speed problem of the code getting generated, right? That problem is solved by adopting tools powered by these models, right? And the second is by changing how we think. And this is the fundamental shift that all the quality professionals will need to have in order to be relevant, right? And we will talk about this testing the AI part first, because that's deep. So, I talked about this earlier, right? 60 years, we tested, on one assumption, right? Based on one foundation assumption that with the same input, you get the same output, because we are doing the rule-based computing, right? LLMs changed everything, right? So with the non-deterministic thing, right? What kind of discipline, right, do we need to build on top of it? So, and this is an Oracle problem, right? I mean, testing, this was the principle that was acting as a glue, right? We call it the Oracle problem, right? I mean, with LLMs, because of the non-deterministic nature, right, we can't predict what the right answer is, right? So if you don't know what the right answer is, how do you test it out? How do you write assertions for it, right? How do you put the expected result out there, right? So there, as soon as we lose determinism, right, we lose the Oracle as well. And then there is no single right answer to assert against, right? And this is not a tooling gap, to solve this Oracle problem, we need to treat this testing AI as a different discipline altogether. It's not a evolved testing or a harder testing, version of the previous one. So verification, right, it changes shape in a non-deterministic system, right? On your left, you have a word which we are all familiar with, right? Assert, pass, fail, ship, right? All the principles that we hold dear. On the right, where we are going, which is the future, right? We score against a rubric instead of matching. We accept a pass rate over a threshold, some defined percentage of golden set passing, right? Instead of a green tick. We monitor the distribution in production because it drifts, even if you may not have landed any new diff over there. So we are looking for confidence, right? And evals are the eval frameworks, as we call them, are the way to do it. And for anything with a model behind it, the eval suite becomes the primary source of evidence. It was similar to the regression suite, that has always been for the deterministic code, right? I mean, it tells you what kind, how much the existing software has shifted, right? So similar with the eval thing. So if you want to validate these systems, powered by these models, we need to understand them and their nuances. And it has bigger repercussions now, right? I mean, in deterministic software, the failure modes live in the code. We wrote and can read, right? And with a model, the code is generated using mechanism which is based on their training, right? So which they have gone through, right? So we really do not know what the model will generate and how good it will be. And if you see most of the data, right, you will find out with the organization where you have these AI assisted coding, a lot of time that is vested in, okay, Henry, I'll try to wrap up in 5 minutes though. But a lot of time, goes into, making sure the code is right by, reviews and all of that, right? So again, I will not go through each of these, but, all these problems that we have with these systems, right? There is a corresponding check that the industry has adopted, right? So again, I'm not gonna go through this slide because this is about how you can start this journey. But pretty much it's all about creating golden rules, golden sets, creating rubrics, right? Have a LLM as a judge, right? And calibrate that judge before putting it out there, and then integrating with the CI. Now, with LLM at the core, right? This human alignment is a continuous check. So you need to have this feedback loop very fast, right? At every stage, right? You cannot just rely on being, extreme right or, shift left. Every single, stage needs a kind of a this this check whether we are within the eval boundaries or that metric boundary or not. So again, how do we go about, this? So now the AI speed problem, right, that we talked about, right? They helped us keep pace, and Prateek talked about it earlier as well. That hey, how do we know that the test cases that it has generated, right, they add value, so the answer is in something called as mutation aided, mutation guided testing, right? It's not a new idea; it's an old idea, and there, we deliberately break our own code and check whether the test suite notices, and if nothing fails, that suite was decorating the code base and rather than protecting it. And this was actually used by Meta. They have one of the largest code bases, right, in the world, and they have this mutation system called as ACH, right, and it kind of uses the fault classes and creates test case around it. And the way we know it's effective is because in one of their testathons, 73% of test cases that was generated by this AI, the developers themselves accepted it in production. So so we can have something like this. This strategy is something that works. Henry, how are we doing on time right now? Again, I'm not going to go through it. So another question is about the reliability part, right? So in this whole agentic thing, right? I mean, if the agents are powered by LLM, right? So with this power, this stochastic base, right? How do we create reliability in a system, right? So we do it via harness. And we ensure that all these agents, right, they are confined to a boundary. They go in a system with least privileges. The outputs are typed interfaces. And of course there are human gates, which is like human in the loop or human out of the loop, right? That sort of a thing. And and again, this is about the maintainability part, right? Of whatever the code that gets auto-generated by the Claude code, right? This, people have this perception that, hey, because the code generation is cheap, right? So, if you don't, I mean, there's not a lot of cost in regenerating the code, right? But bad code is the most expensive, it has ever been. And this is not me talking; it's like Matt Pocock, right? He's a authority, he's a teacher, right, who teach engineers how to work with a coding agent, right? Because if the code base is hard to change, right, we cannot take the bounty AI is offering, right? And in this mess, after a year, if you ask AI to go and figure something out, it may not work, right? So again, this whole benefit that it, kind of the promise that it gave earlier, right, it may not work very well, right? So we go with the strong fundamentals around code generation, right? And this is the right side of this particular slide talks about it, right? We make it create code in confined boundaries, rather than just saying that, hey, generate this code for this class or whatever. Again, I'm going a little bit faster because of time constraint, right? This talks about the 5 practices that AI testing demands, right? So you have evals, you have guardrails, tripwires, you have drift watch, and red teaming is a concept from security testing from the past, and edge calibration, right? So we talked about it earlier. So how does 2026 look, and look beyond, right? So I'm not going to make any prophecies around it. It's really risky in the AI age, right? So most of the things that we talk about, right? So there are some good things that we take, and then there are new things that we need to add, right? Let me just come to here, previous slide, right? So the human judgment, right, which QA was earlier doing, right? These professionals, the quality engineering professional, it has just moved up a level, right? It has evolved to a new level, right? And if you see, right, this barbell shape, right? So traditional testing, manual or it's kind of getting shrunk in the middle, and the growth areas right now, right, or in the coming months or years, right, is these barbells basically. Where the human judgment is needed, right? I mean, risk analysis, exploratory testing, quality strategy, right? And evals engineering, red teaming, agent and harness testing, they have all high growth potentials. So if there is one career thing, for you to take from this today's talk, it is this, that, aim energy at what only a human can validate, right? A machine can check the output, equals expected. It cannot decide whether a summary is fair, right? Whether an agent's action was appropriate, right? This is all human judgment, right? So this is what we need to focus on. So the upskill, is in the order, right? We need to learn how LLM works, the mechanism, and and then upgrade ourselves, in this area. This is like the what you can do, to get started on this journey, for your company. So QA has to fundamentally shift from, like, creating the checkpoints, and instead deciding what the check should be. So this is a fundamental shift, right? And again, coming back to the point, right? The machine generates, and we are still the people, who decide what to trust. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you, Anshuman. Thank you for that session. Interesting one. I particularly liked the part where you talked about the difference between how you build something and just generate, versus when you actually put some guardrails around, design around, and especially where you ended with machine generate, but we decide what to trust. That is the whole hallmark of everything. It's been an interesting one. Thank you very much again. It's the time to drop in
Sure.
questions. If you have questions, please drop it right in the comments, and we're going to take them. By the way, you can reach out to our speakers via LinkedIn. I'm sure they'll be happy to answer your questions. Anshuman and Pratik. By the way, thank you again, guys, for amazing and highly impactful sessions. So yes, as we go on, please feel free to drop your questions in the comments. We are going to take them as we come. In the interest of time, okay, somebody says the demand of validation will increase. That is absolutely true. The demand for validation is going to increase. Yeah, we can talk about how amazing it is that AI generates software much faster, amazing stuff, right? But it then means that the responsibility of quality is even higher, right? We have software being churned out by the day. So, this is an extremely valuable session. And the way I see it, not even just for QA engineers, because today the roles are sort of convergent. So today we have roles that we call builders, not even just software engineers anymore. We call product builders who are responsible end to end from, they just take a problem space and then they run with that, you build that, design, implementation, and even assuring quality. And that is where I think a lot of people need to edge to. That's where the industry is edging towards. We now have organizations that hire people as product builders, not software engineer, QA engineer, designer, and all of this traditional stuff. We're going to see a lot of, things evolving as times go ahead. There's a lot more to see. Somebody said something. They said this has just been 3-4 years of Gen AI coming mainstream. So you can imagine what happens 5, 10 years. I
Yeah.
mean, Shimon, you were talking about, what things were like your 2 decades of working here. Imagine what the shift was. This was not really, really AI. We've had some AI, I will argue. AI is not really just coming in. We've had some level of AI, but not just the most general use cases. But how far has things really evolved? Think about
Yeah.
2000 versus now.
Yeah.
You can imagine, and that's without AI. So with AI now, we think fast forward some 10 years, and we realize that we cannot continue to, to employ the same systems, the same way of work, and expect, to be able to meet up with
And
what the industry demands. And one more thing
yeah.
I will like to add before I just stop here is somebody also mentioned that today built for the capability of AI 6 months to come, not the capability of today. Because rest assured, you blink and you will see that he has caught up. The the
Hmm.
pace at which you just, oh, there's this new model that does ABC, another model that does XYZ. That, it's just, it's amazing, it's crazy at the same time. But quality professionals, this is now an opportunity, because this is going to be a concern about amazing stuff coming out, but then how secure is it, right? How safe is
Yeah.
it? How functional is it? So this is going to be something that, you know
And
is going to come top notch.
yeah. So Jafar, just adding on to what you said, right? This is something that I want to, re-emphasize, right? I remember in our old days, right, when the testers used to come and work, they were told that they had to understand the entire system end to end, right? Every component, how they're interacting, and all of that, right? So you in order to be a good tester, good quality professional, you need to understand the nature of the beast, right? Now with this whole LLM or the AI, right? This the way LLM works, the reasoning works, right? The how the tokens are understood, how the underlying transformer architecture, right? Uh, my one of the things that I would like to emphasize is, we need, as a quality professional, we need to understand how LLM works, and that means upskilling ourselves, right? And it is not difficult at all. Right now, if you go to any kind of Coursera or something, you'll find thousands of courses over there, right? And we need to have that basic knowledge, right? How this probability works, right? What are the ins and outs, right? How LLM sometimes, answer A, sometimes B, sometimes C, what kind of psychophancy behavior it has, right? And so that system under test, right, coming back to the same point, right, we need to understand LLM, and only then we will be able to add value to this quality journey of the LLM powered products, which is going to form this era. And this is just the beginning. These agents, right, they explode on the screen within a year and a half or two, right? The next stop for them are these humanoids. These LLMs are going to power these hardware robots out there. And we will need good quality professionals, right? And then there is the parameters to be tested will then explode, right? We were talking about not just the software part, but, right, hardware testing, mechanical metrics, you know all of that is gonna, and this is not going to be a science fiction anymore, right? Just wait for 1 year, right, and you'll see all these things being built and tested. So this is the right time to upskill ourselves, be relevant. Otherwise, anybody who doesn't understand how these systems work and only focus on the application part is going to phase out very fast. So yeah, I just wanted
Absolutely.
to kind of.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think, so I like to say something, that the opportunities today, it was harder. I mean, think of those times. It was harder to break into tech. There's a lot of barrier. There's a lot of things you have to understand. But with the AI revolution, the barrier is a lot,
Oh
softer. You
yeah,
could get,
absolutely.
by just studying stuff, you could just get it. And because you already have the quality mindset, you already have that, instinct as a quality professional to question something, then you add extra value there, right? Than
Yes.
somebody who's just here to just ship it and, build the next amazing stuff, even though he ends up deleting something or wipes out production or whatever that is. Because by default, quality professionals are meant to just question it. I mean, how might this break? Right? That's the default question you ask. Not, oh, is it worked? Well, it's worked. That's for developers. Yeah, developers, you're building and say, yay, it worked. The quality professionals are looking at, okay, how might this break? That's the question. And that's
Yeah.
really the difference, in what you have to offer. Interesting conversation. Particularly, do you want to bear in on, what we're talking about, where things are really going 5, 10, 20 years down the line?
Yeah, I mean, the future is really unpredictable. The pace we are seeing right now, every month Claude launches the new model, and even you guys might recently saw the news that more than 1100 or 1200 AI researchers, wrote a document to government of US to slow down the pace of the AI development, because even they don't understand how, you know this is going. And the use cases are exponentially growing. We are all technical, we understand all technology part, but I believe like there is huge use case in non-technology industry, like healthcare, real estate, pharmaceuticals, where there could be a discovery happen that we didn't have imagined. For example, in pharmaceutical there may be a drug which, who knows, some type of cancers very soon. uh, we are very optimistic, we are thinking in a very positive direction, but there are also very negative stuff can go on, like cyber attacks, uh, and so many things can also go wrong, and that's where I think this AI researcher are maybe a little bit hesitant. So yeah, I think it's totally unpredictable, and whatever Anshuman suggested, like we need to really keep ourselves up to date, and it's very good time to understand how to learn how LLM works, how non-determinism works, how to taste that. That is something very new. Like we used to uh, taste only deterministic part. Like you are just filling the form and then you are expecting that you are getting this sort of responses. Now those days are gone. Like when you are tasting the chatbot, for example, it totally depends on what type of input you are giving, and it generates n number of different outputs. So how would you uh, taste the non-determinism behavior of the LLM? That's very important, and not do that better if you don't understand how underlying LLM system works. So, yeah, I agree with Alan Schuman's point on this.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for adding that. One interesting thing is just as things are evolving, it's also interesting to see QA, solutions, testing related solutions are evolving. I mean, you talked about, uh, some of the playwright skills like open source. It's amazing how that helps, for people who are using agents. I mean, there's a particular feature I love with Rover AI. Rover AI is one of our clients Rover CLI. I mean, the Rover AI tester, basically does stuff you just basically type in or drop in your PRD, and then it just goes ahead to learn your product from that, and then visits the product itself, your website, logs in if there is necessity for that, runs all of that test, on its own, right, based on just whatever it is you said you want to achieve. And as amazing as that is, I love the CLI part more in terms of the fact that it then helps help you get closer to even your devs. You want to start running your test on the CI/CD pipeline. You want tests to generate as you code out flows, right? So you have something that is just within that environment for the more technical people, right? So it means that not just at the end when you've already shipped can you actually start doing tests and generate tests that actually run themselves, but then right when you're building, which is where I think Anshuman touched about that it's now something that I need to do continuously. It's not something that at the end of the sprint or when shift left, even shift left, shift right. I mean, it's not even enough anymore. It used to be the way, but right now, I mean, things are moving every hour. Some you have several agents. I think the head of Cloud Code was saying that he has about 100 agents running in any
Yeah.
given hour. So it then becomes almost humanly unattainable that you want to, after everything has shipped, then starts, let's click, let's test, let's one after the other. So it's and that's why that's the thing I love about the Rover CLI, that you're doing that flow. You could just say generate tests for this new feature that was just written, and generates the test and actually runs them, and you could add that to your pipeline straight off. So, in the interest of time, I mean, I'm already loving this conversation. I wish we could just go on and on, but in the interest of time, we really have to wrap. Before we go, though, I'm just going to show us, something on Rover AI in action, and then we're going to do our trivia and end the call for another time. Hopefully, we get to have these amazing conversation once again.
Hi guys. So today I'm going to be telling you about Rover. Rover is an autonomous testing agent. Rover can help you test your software with little to no human intervention. So let's get into what Rover can do. So with Rover, you are testing your requirements. So Rover can help you test your product requirements and ensure that everything works fine. So now let's see how that works. Now, what I would do, so on Rover, you would call a test a goal. So a goal being one of your product requirements. So now to get started testing with Rover, you would need base URL to the application you want to test since we're testing a web application. So I'll provide a URL. Now, what I want to test is a registration flow, a sign up flow. Now, the interesting thing about this sign up flow is it has an email verification process where you need to get to your email inbox and pick up a verification code and use it to complete the sign up process. So we're going to see how River does its magic to complete sign up process. So now I would spell out my goal in here. So I would say confirm that I can sign up successfully and complete all onboarding steps. So this is my goal. I'm leaving it as open as possible for Rover. Now, I didn't specify anything more, no credentials, no details, nothing more. I just need Rover to go and explore and test this out for me. So what I would do then is to click on execute test. Now, Rover is going to launch a new browser in the cloud to open up our application and start to test. Now, in real time, we can follow Rover's actions right here as they happen. So you can see a quick glance of what's happening. You can click here to expand the screen. You can see on the screen the application we want to test has loaded. Rover's clicked on the sign up page to get to the sign up uh, view. Then it enters the full name because there is a full name field. Then it imputes a company name also, and then an email address. So it is able to create an email address automatically. Now, the interesting thing about Rover is Rover actually provisions a mailbox for your workspace where you can receive real emails. So with the Rover mailbox, you're able to generate unlimited, unique, and dynamic emails. So testing registration flows, you're always guaranteed that you can have a new email and it is valid and genuine every time you want to test your sign up process. Isn't that interesting? Then Rover goes on to do the rest of the steps, types in a password, then it clicks on the sign up button. Then the app displays a page for verification. So after it has clicked on the sign up button, now there is a verification field. So we're expecting the application to send uh, an OTP code to the registered email address. So let's see what happens. Interestingly, now Scanjam has gotten an OTP code from the email inbox. So this it is going to impute the codes into the box. So we can see the codes being imputed here. Then after everything is done, it clicks on the verify button. As we can see here, after it has imputed all of the codes, then it waits for verification to happen. Now verifications has happened. We can see a toast notification to that effect, and we are on an onboarding screen. We can see next, then it goes on to even create a project, and then the process is complete. We can see our success message here, so which indicates that Rover has been able to run this test from start to finish with almost no input from me. So we can view the full report by clicking on that button, which brings us here. Interestingly, Rover shows you a video execution or a video playback of the test. So you can go back and see everything that happened during the course of the test. You can play back this video. You can see every single step that was done. The screenshots here showing you the application, the values imputed, you would be able to see the actions it took, the reasoning behind it. So this was the email inbox where he got our OTP code from. So he was able to get the OTP code and also uh, do the verification, as we can see here, inputting the verification code into the verification boxes. Yes, and at the end of it all, we can see that our sign up and onboarding process was completed successfully. Rover, very easy and smooth to use.
Okay, so that was an interesting one, Rover AI. We talked, I mean, both of our speakers talked about moving from deterministic to non-deterministic. That's exactly what Rover does. You don't have to really go along to define, oh, I mean, go to this, then step one, do this, then step two. Rather, it just works from goals. What do you need to verify here? Oh, I need to verify that so happens, or I need to check that payment comes in, or I want to confirm that whatever it is, and then it goes ahead to the product itself, learns the product, finds a way to achieve that goal unaided. You don't have to supply anything. And if you want to go even deeper, right, you could even supply just a document, your PRD that just has all the things you're supposed to achieve, maybe your feature ticket or something, a document that describes the goals or your acceptance criteria, and it's going to generate those goals itself from there. Lots of amazing stuff beyond what we can start showing in videos. Like, you could tag Rover actually in your linear or Jira ticket, basically to say, hey, Rover, this ticket is done, test this. And it basically reads through that, understands what's supposed to be achieved, his acceptance criteria, and goes on to try to achieve that. And what do you get? You also get not the results or the report at the end, you also get, video playback, network log, and console log, everything that really helps you to find out and troubleshoot stuff as it happens. And not to mention Rover CLI that I mentioned earlier for the more technical folks that would like to, even integrate this directly as they build. So please visit rover.qa today. That simple, rova.qa, and try that out. And let's hear your feedback from that. Thank you very much, everyone. The final part of this session, the very final part, is going to be the trivia. Again, thank you once again, Pratik and Anshuman, for the amazing session. Like I said earlier, please, they are most available to answer your questions. You can reach out directly to them on LinkedIn, and I'm sure they will be happy to answer your questions. So yes, let's do this final one, which is answer a few questions on the trivia, and let's see who goes on with the prize. Ibrahim. So please you can scan the QR code on the screen right here, or use the link bit.ly/3 Z capital Z 7W capital small I 6. Anyone that's convenient, please use. Okay, so we're going to get started in exactly 30 seconds. If you're still interested in joining, please, you can just join up, and then we're going to get started. Just a fun activity. Always interesting to see what comes up. Okay. Okay, starting in exactly 5 seconds. Raheem, please, we can go ahead. Once it is exactly 5 seconds, we're good to go. Five, four, three, two, one. Yes, let's go, please. Interesting. It's never over until it is over, though. What metric best reflects software qualities? Which example represents a complete user journey? Let's see who gets this. Accessibility testing focuses on making software it's never over until it is over. So keep at it. You never know, you might just come up. One major risk of AI assisted development is what? Reduced screen resolution, smaller repositories. Interesting. Goal driven testing primarily validates Wow, almost everyone got that. Wow, where's virtue? Interesting. What happened? Well, it's not over. Final question, guys. Can still win. Who benefits the most from autonomous testing? So let us see the leaderboard. We have a winner. The winner is Maido. Who is Maido? Maidu or Maido? I don't know if this is Japanese or what language that is. Please say hi in the comments so we can know who that is. Congratulations and thank you for participating. Thank you, everybody who participated for doing that. Oh, okay. Hello. Hello. Thank you very much. Okay, so somebody, I see some questions in the comments. I'm just gonna answer. I mean, those, so we can go ahead. The way testport creates the test cases, and Rover can execute the same steps. Okay, without putting any additional instruction. Exactly. Yes, please. You do not need to put, any additional instruction. You can just have Rover AI. And technically, in Rover AI, the test cases can actually be generated. You can define a goal or just drop a document or just tag it on a ticket. And then, yes, it can generate the goals, which are the tests that is going to run, and actually also run them. So that's the difference. Why TestPort generally just manages your test cases for you and manages tests across different platforms. Rover AI is an execution agent. It does not just generate; it actually executes that test. It runs that test in real browsers. Can run across multiple browsers. You can run mobile tests and web tests as well. So thank you very much. And Charles says Rover AI is a great tool. Can't wait to see. Oh, interesting. Can't wait to see the Scandium team merge all these tools into one. Wow. Okay. Interesting take. Interesting take. Yeah. Let's see what the future holds. But Rover AI is really your go-to. You know, test generation, test execution, and everything in between. Integration into CI/CD as something you have in Rover already. So please try that out, and let's hear feedback. We remain, you know, delighted to hear from you, and also continue to improve on the products and do more. I'm also happy to partner with you, regardless of your location globally. Um, you know, to bring this solution to much more people who are in need of that agentic, non-deterministic test execution. Thank you very much. So please stay connected with us on social media, on LinkedIn, on Slack or WhatsApp or X. You can check our link in the comment section again. It's going to be dropped there again, link tree. Please join us on any of these channels. Follow us on LinkedIn. You'll be able to get you know information about our upcoming events and activities. And then we're also going live very soon with the Software Quality Assurance Fellowship, the QA Fellowship, which this time around is going to be focused not just on automation testing or test automation, but also on agentic testing. So congratulations to those who have applied. I'm sure by now you should have gotten, some updates regarding applications. So the final selected batch for 2026 will be fully out, and they're going to start the program sometime in um, August. Hi, Suman. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback or for that review. Please try out Rover for those who are just hearing about it for the first time. Visit rover.qa. Try it out and let's hear what you think about it. We're happy to hear from you, as the quality professional. Um, oh, wow. Interesting. Interesting. I just released my production with 50% effort cut through Rover. Congratulations on you. Congratulations to you on that. And thank you for providing that feedback. Thank you very much. So thank you, everyone. Please follow us through all of those panels um, to keep up with us. Thank you once again to Anshuman and Pratek. Thank you for delivering such amazing sessions. We hope to speak to you again soon. What's next? We do this every quarter. So we're looking to see you again next quarter for the software test drive, the final quarter of the year, actually. Please visit GetScandia apps, getscandia.com, or visit rover.qa. Actually, just go to getscandium.com. You will be able to find all of the tools in the Scandium ecosystem right from there. And please share feedback with us. We're happy always to listen to you and hear your thoughts, hear, what really is the pain points you're having, and we were happy to help you solve them. So please visit getscandium.com. You can access all of our products from there. If you're more particular and interested in agentic testing, please head on to rover.qa and you will be able to start running your tests with agents, web and mobile alike. Thank you very much, everyone. Until we see you again on the next edition, next quarter, stay jiggy and stay, sharp. Bye, guys, and have a great one.